There are more murmurs going on behind the scenes than ever before, even though the cameras have stopped filming. What began as a typical evening for the group swiftly turned into one of the season's most talked about controversies. Normally the calm person in the midst of turmoil, Brandi found herself in the thick of a hurricane that no one anticipated. The anxiety in the room increased with every hour as rumors of a hidden baby began to circulate. Fans are in disbelief. The conflict has spread far beyond the stage, and the cast is split. Emotions ran high, voices clashed, and secrets that were supposed to remain hidden threatened to come to light in front of everyone when the topic was brought up. The rest of the group was shocked when Evelyn stormed out because she couldn't handle the strain and never wanted to hide her sentiments. Are the rumors true? Or is this just another fabricated tale designed to destroy friendships? Fans are clamoring for answers since this discovery has undoubtedly rocked the organization to its foundation. We explore this controversy in depth tonight, which has everyone talking. Bri's baby and its startling aftermath. Before the drama really struck, the room had been filled with the customary laughing, lighthearted shade and conversation. However, everyone could sense the thick layer of tension that was developing under the surface. There was a change in the customary vigor. People's eyes were moving. With a cunning look across the room, Ming, who had been silently watching, decided it was time to say the words that would set everything on fire as whispers began to drift from one corner to another. She voiced the question no one was expecting to hear so directly, leaned forward, and dropped her voice just enough to make it seem tragic. Was a baby hidden by Brandi? The response was immediate. In a couple of seconds, the room was silent, erasing any background sounds. Forks paused in midair, glasses froze halfway to the lips, and spotlights focused on Brandi. She blinked quickly, totally unprepared. The armor of her typical serenity crumbled fairly dramatically in that moment. "Excuse me?" Brandi said in a low, guarded voice, as if it took her a while to fully comprehend what had just been flung at her. As if she hadn't just started a fuse that might blow up the whole night, Ming inclined her head almost innocently. "I'm just saying," she answered with ease. The chuckle was weak, anxious, and devoid of Brandi's typical bravado. "People have been talking. There are rumors, and you know how rumors don't start from nothing. To get attention, people will say anything. I'm not sure where you're getting this information, but it's untrue." She went for her glass, attempting a nonchalant sip, but Evelyn grabbed it right away as her palm trembled a little. On the other side of the table, Evelyn straightened her posture and her face tensed. When things doesn't match up, she's never been one to sit silently. And it was the same this time. "Hold on," she said, her gaze cutting right through Brandi. "Avoid playing with me. Will you really just stand there and pretend nothing is happening? Because something is undoubtedly wrong based on what I've been hearing." The air became more dense. Even through their screens, fans could sense the suspense as the scenario played out online. Social media exploded in real time, with viewers scurrying to Instagram and Twitter to share their thoughts. Some argued that Brandi was entitled to privacy. Others said that if a baby was in the photo, the whole cast should be informed. The argument took off like wildfire. A dot. Bri's gaze flicked back and forth across the table. Usually Malaysia would have jumped in to protect her, but this time even Malaysia seems apprehensive. She avoided making eye contact and kept her lips pulled together, which only served to highlight Bri's loneliness. Jennifer crossed her arms, curled her lips into a smug smirk, and sat back in her chair. She didn't need to speak. When she saw Bri writhe, her face radiated joy. The words sliced through Brandi like a razor as she whispered to the lady next to her, "I knew it. I knew she was hiding something. She's been too quiet lately." The remark was so well timed that it was audible to cameras. "You all love to jump on anything to tear me down," she yelled back, her voice shaking with fear and rage. "You don't know anything about me, Jennifer." However, Ming wasn't allowing Brandi. "People don't just make this big up," she said, leaning closer and sounding almost playful. "You may claim that we're getting there, but it doesn't seem good based on your reaction." "Enough with the games," Evelyn said. "We're not going to sit here and look like fools while you're keeping secrets." The room moved once again, with all eyes back on Brandi. She opened her mouth to say something, but Evelyn shocked everyone by slamming her palm on the table. "We're all impacted, not just you. Thus, either you resolve this immediately, or don't be shocked if no one wants to stand behind you. You think I owe all of you my life story? You think I have to explain myself every time you hear something in the streets? I don't owe you that. I'm dealing with things you couldn't possibly understand." Bri's chest rose and fell rapidly, her emotions boiling over, and she clenched her fists, trying to hold back tears that threatened to spill. Finally, she spoke, her voice breaking. The room was momentarily silent as a result of the vulnerability in her voice, but Evelyn remained unmoved. She threw her chair back with a scream and stood there, her eyes burning with rage. "Don't twist this around, Brandi," she said. "You have no right to suggest that we are the issue. We've all been pulled into your mess after you lied." With an acerbic and uncompromising tone, she jerked a finger at Brandi before hurriedly leaving the room. And cameras captured Evelyn pacing angrily, muttering that she was done with the lies and couldn't stand another second of the drama. After she slammed the door behind her, the silence that followed was oppressive. Brandi sat frozen, her face a mask of pain and anger. Ming leaned back with a satisfied smirk, knowing she had successfully stirred the pot. Jennifer whispered something under her breath, clearly delighted by Evelyn's dramatic departure. Outside. Bry's words carried too much weight, and the women exchanged uncomfortable looks. Some avoided her eyes, others looked guilty, but no one spoke up. Evelyn stormed out, trended across platforms, demonstrating just how invested viewers had become in the chaos. Back inside. Brandi tried to gather herself, blinking quickly to contain her tears. "You all don't care about me," she said quietly, but the microphones caught every word. "You just care about having something to gossip about. You all don't care about what I'm going through." The silence in the room after Evelyn stormed out was unbearable, and Brandi sat motionless, her body rigid, her eyes fixed on the table as if looking anywhere else would betray the emotions boiling inside her. As the scene came to an end, Bry's thoughts were obviously racing, because her reputation, her friendships, and her future on the show were all on the line. The scandal had broken down a door that she desperately wanted to keep closed, and now there was no way to close it again. Malaysia, who had been reluctant earlier, finally reached over and touched Bry's hand. "Brandi," she whispered softly, "you don't have to say anything if you're not ready. But you also have to understand, people are going to keep talking until you clear this up." Cameras zoomed in, capturing every flicker across her face, the fear, the anger, all layered together. She had always prided herself on being the composed one, but in this moment, she was visibly breaking and everyone could see it. "You all want the truth so badly," Brandi finally said, her voice trembling but rising louder than before. "You all want the truth so badly," she said, her jaw tightening as she squeezed her lips together, her eyes glistening as she looked around the table, Ming smirking, Jennifer's satisfaction, the others' uneasy glances. It all felt like knives pressing into her. "But it's because I don't trust this organization, not because I'm lying or attempting to harm people. Every time I share, my life becomes a source of amusement for others to analyze." The air was thick with the confession. Across the table, whispering started as soon as gasps were audible. Ming's eyes were bright with delight as she reclined on her chair. She responded, "So you admit it," quietly but loudly enough for the cameras to hear. "You don't know what I've been through," Brandi yelled back, her voice suddenly firm. "There's something. Stop twisting my words, Ming." Malaysia's face softened even more as Brandi slammed her hand on the table, shocking everyone. "You don't know what's real. You don't know pain until you've had to smile in people's faces while your entire world is falling apart. You don't know what it's like to bury your truth because the people around you can't wait to use it against you." Jennifer shook her head and laughed under her breath. "Girl, you always have some sob story ready. You're either in the middle of some tragedy or you're playing victim." Bry's eyes welled up again, and for a moment it seemed as though she was going to burst. But instead of responding directly, she got up from the table, her chair screeching loudly against the floor, her hands shaking as she adjusted her jacket, her breathing heavy. She whispered again, almost pleading, but Ming leaned forward, eyes locked on Brandi. "So what is the truth then? Are you saying the baby rumors are real or not? You can talk about pain and struggles all you want, but you haven't answered the question. The tension was unbearable, and Malaysia attempted to mediate. "Everyone needs to calm down," she said firmly, "because it's obvious that Brandi is going through something, and all of that." "I don't owe you that," she snapped. "Not right now. Not like this." The women burst into murmurs, and Jennifer scoffed dramatically, rolling her eyes. Translation: "She's guilty," she said. "It's not helpful that you're flinging daggers." Malaysia shouted back, her patience failing. "Please," Jennifer said forcefully, "don't defend her." "This is what she does. She hides, she cries, and then she expects us to feel sorry for her. I'm not falling for it." Maybe you should look in the mirror before judging anyone. Jennifer narrowed her eyes and glared at Malaysia, but before she could reply, Ming said, "This is bigger than shade. We're talking about a baby. That's not something you just ignore." She looked toward the cameras, her tone brimming with false concern. If the rumors are true, then why hide it? Who's the father? Why all the secrecy? Brandi doesn't spend her time tearing other women down to feel relevant. This is my life, my choice. If I wanted to tell the world, I would. But I don't, because none of you have earned that kind of trust. Every time something happens in my life, it becomes gossip for you to sip on like wine. I'm done feeding you. The words cut deep. Brandi spun around, pointing a finger directly at Ming. No, people don't deserve to know. Her face was still tight with anger, but now her voice shook with emotion. I had to step out before I said something I couldn't take back, she started, her eyes fixed on Brandi, while Jennifer rolled her eyes so hard it looked painful. Then the door flew open and Evelyn stormed back in, her heels clicking furiously against the floor. Your secrecy impacts all of us. Can you imagine what it's like to be standing beside someone when everyone else is speculating about a scandal? We all seem foolish as a result. Bry's mouth quivered, and she turned to face Evelyn for the first time. Do you think I'm unaware of that? How long do you suppose I don't wake up every day? Before someone who doesn't even care about me drags the truth out of me. Evelyn, I'm sinking already. You don't have to keep my head underwater. The audience became silent again as the rawness of her words took hold. Jennifer's smirk even wavered a little. For a second, Evelyn's expression softened, but she refused to allow her pride get in the way. Then maybe you should have trusted us sooner, she whispered. Though less furious than previously, her tone was nonetheless biting. Fans were riveted to their televisions when everything happened. With our Brandi unveiled and Evelyn storming out trending with innumerable response memes, our eyes increased. While some viewers praised Brandi's sensitivity and felt sorry for her, others accused her of being evasive and deceptive. The strain within would not go away. With shoulders hunched down as if the whole world were pressing down on them, Brandi took a seat again. Malaysia gave her arm a little massage. She was not alone, she whispered. Brandi, however, hardly answered. But Ming was far from done. Say it out loud, Brandi, if this is about defending someone. Does this include another man? Are you keeping it hidden for that reason? It was like gasoline on fire, the query. With her eyes flaming, Bry's head jerked toward Ming. Do you have no idea when to stop? Everyone spoke at once, and the room exploded once again, with voices overlapping. Charges. The air was thick with shadows and protection. It was now too difficult to cut the strain. Furthermore, it seemed for the first time that Bry's secret could be about to come to light. The producers hanging behind the cameras exchanged nervous looks as the yelling within the room reached a fever pitch. It was obvious that the situation went beyond the typical shade-throwing teasing. This was intimate, unvarnished, and perilously near to permanently shattering friendships. In the midst of it all, Brandi sat with her eyes burning with defiance, her face pale and her lips quivering. She seemed worn out, as if the words said that evening had sapped her vitality over the course of years. Her stance did, however, also convey a tenacity, an unwillingness to be totally shattered. With her arms crossed over her chest and her voice like a razor slicing through the cacophony, Evelyn remained standing close to the entrance. The truth always comes out, no matter how much you try to hide it. Maybe not tonight. The day will arrive, even if it may not be tomorrow. And don't count on my compassion when it does. Malaysia came right in, speaking in a firmer yet gentler tone. Don't you feel like you're being too severe, Evelyn? She is clearly in pain. Perhaps we should strive to help her rather than corner her. Evelyn gave her a glare. Encourage Malaysia? For years, I've been there for her. When no one else would stand up for her, I did. However, it seems like a betrayal. What I don't even grasp, I can't defend. Bry's eyes darted to the ground as her breath caught. Even knowing the microphone recorded every word, she muttered, I never asked you to defend me. Everything I've ever desired was a place where I could cope with my life without it being a plot point. After a moment of strange silence, Jennifer leaned forward with a sneer that unnerved everyone. Secure area. You signed up for this, honey. This is the truth. Perhaps you shouldn't be here if you can't take it. Brandi jerked her head in her direction. She had been hanging onto a frail shell, but now her rage was showing through. Jennifer, you dare not lecture me. No one at this table has ever circulated more rumors than you. You like ripping people apart, and now you want to pretend to be a reasonable voice. Please. The gathering gasped aloud and even laughed a little at the clapback, but Ming wasn't having any of it. Her voice was calm but tinged with anger as she leaned closer. Are you implying that the baby rumor is untrue? Because it seems like you are concealing something by avoiding the question. Bri balled her fists in her lap. Tears burned in her eyes. She wouldn't let go. Do you really need an answer? All right, there is a baby indeed. It's not what you think, however. The table became cold, quiet. People's jaws fell. The eyes became wide. The moment of confession softened even Evelyn's piercing manner. Hold on, what? Malaysia widened her eyes and murmured. At last, Brandi gave a shaky breath and her voice broke. It's not a scandal, but there is a baby. This is not some nefarious secret. Since my cousin's death, I have been assisting in raising her kid. The youngster deserves privacy, which is why I didn't want to share it with the world. I didn't want my name to be the reason that cameras and blogs tore up an innocent existence. I believed that silence would keep them safe. Her eyes were filled with tears, and the room became absolutely silent for the first time throughout the night. Malaysia covered her lips in a quiet gasp. God, Brandi. Why didn't you just inform us? As I wouldn't entrust something so delicate to any of you. With tears in her eyes, Brandi said, Look at what you've already accomplished. You made a circus out of whispers. You accuse me of lying, having affairs, and doing things I've never ever considered. Now you see why I maintain my walls? Ming moved in her chair, obviously uneasy, as she hadn't anticipated the confession to have such a significant impact. So, we're supposed to just believe that it's your cousin's baby? That sounds like a convenient excuse to me. Malaysia immediately snapped back, her protective side fully activated. Jennifer, shut up. Do you hear yourself? This woman just opened up about something deeply personal and all you can do is dismiss it. I didn't know, she stammered, her usual confidence faltering for a short moment. Brandi, she continued softly, if that's true, then I understand why you kept it quiet. Your callous Evelyn's face changed once again, her arms relaxing at her sides, and she seemed caught between empathy and irritation. However, you must comprehend how this seems from the outside. People fill in the holes with their own narrative when you keep things hidden. This mess was caused by it. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Brandi nodded slowly. I understand, but if it meant protecting that baby, I was prepared to endure that heat. What others thought of me didn't matter to me. All I wanted was for them to be okay. Even the coldest hearts in the room were moved by the sincerity in her speech. Ming's grin vanished as she gazed down for the first time. In the face of actual suffering, the power she had used all night seemed suddenly diminished and less important. Jennifer wasn't finished, however. Her voice was fierce, and she crossed her arms. Perhaps you are just fabricating a tale because you were caught. I apologize, but I don't believe it. Brandi's voice was calm yet low as she scowled at her. Have faith in your desires. I'm not here to get your approval. Every second was captured by the cameras, and supporters' responses were bursting online. Bri's courage was commended by several spectators. Others questioned her justification, and the comment sections were rife with arguments. Instantly popular hashtags were Die Bombshell and Die Brandi Struth trended right away. However, the storm had not yet passed within the chamber. Malaysia gave Brandi a firm embrace while muttering that she was pleased with her. Evelyn stood in silence, her emotions jumbled, her thoughts racing. Ming was restless, anxiously, and Jennifer didn't even want to relax her hard gaze for a second. Neither the night nor the consequences had ended. Tension was in the air, as if everyone in the room was holding their breath, waiting for someone to say anything to shatter the stillness. Every quiver, every flash of emotion, every look that was more powerful than words was captured by the camera as it zoomed in on each face. The whole atmosphere had changed after Bri's admission, but rather than fostering harmony, it had simply made the group's divisions worse. At last, Evelyn let out a breath, her voice quivering just enough to reveal the feelings she was trying to hide. What hurts the most, do you know? You did not keep a secret. It's because you didn't think we were trustworthy enough to allow us in. You treat me as if I'm just another tabloid out to get you, despite all the years and my devotion to you. Despite the tears, Brandi's voice remained steady as she wiped at her cheeks. It was never about you, Evelyn. It was about defending a person who was unable to defend himself. I would make the same decision again if I had to. Malaysia moved swiftly to attempt to defuse the situation before it got out of hand. Perhaps this is one of those occasions when we need to just listen without passing judgment. Whether we agree with them or not, Brandi has her reasons. Jennifer crossed her arms and leaned back in her chair, scowling loudly. Oh, please, Malaysia. You act like she's some kind of martyr. Secrets like this don't stay buried forever, and the truth has a way of coming out. If she didn't want people talking, maybe she should have been more upfront before it got this far. That comment was the spark that rekindled Bry's passion. Her voice was piercing and uncompromising as she turned on Jennifer. Do you not dare to pretend to be the moral compass in this situation? You've made it your job to undermine women with your dirty whispers and gossip. I will no longer allow you to portray me as the bad guy in order to protect your own interests. The room was filled with gasps, and the audacity of Bry's retort caused even Ming's eyes to widen. Evelyn, however, was also not prepared to let go. Her voice was a mix of sadness and rage as she shook her head. Brandi, you don't understand. Being a hero or a villain isn't the point. It's all about being truthful. I've been there for you even when others have tarnished your reputation. I believed we were a team, so I fought conflicts that weren't even mine. I feel as if I have been battling for someone who didn't even believe I was worthy of the truth. The shields Brandi had erected were broken by the vulnerability in her remarks. Her eyes softened as she gazed at Evelyn, her shoulders slumping. She said, "I'm sorry," in a scarcely discernible whisper. "I didn't intend to hurt you. I didn't know how much harm it was causing and believed that by holding it within, I was saving everyone." Malaysia squeezed Bry's hand as she stretched across the table. Ming, still calculating, leaned forward with an inquisitive tilt of her head and said, "You don't have to carry everything alone anymore. Let us help you." What comes next now that the truth is known? The blogosphere will be furious over this, let's face it. There will be some who want the drama to go on, those who believe Brandi and those who believe Jennifer, regardless of how you present it. Everyone was struck deeply by that recollection. The cameras continued to record, catching every look, every tear, and every confession. The outside world would analyze everything and make headlines out of their suffering. Ash Tiages too. Evelyn, clearly overwhelmed, massaged her temples. "I am unable to accomplish this at this time. I need room." Her voice broke, and without saying another word, she got up and pushed her chair back till it almost fell. Everyone was startled into stillness as the boom reverberated like a gunshot. She rushed out of the room, the cameras following, her body tensed with rage and sorrow, her shoes clacking on the floor. The gathering was surprised by her disappearance when the door shut behind her. With tears shaking her body, Brandi put her hands over her face. "This was not what I wanted. This is not what I ever wanted." As the mayhem continued, Malaysia put her arms around her and held her close while muttering comforting words. "What you believed to be right was what you did. You are not a horrible person because of it." Ming smirks slyly as he stares directly into the cameras, seeing an opening. "I suppose the reality is never straightforward, is it? Friendships may be destroyed by one secret. One scandal may alter everything, and one confession can erode confidence." Irony was evident in her statements, as if she took pleasure in telling the story of the storm she had contributed to. But Jennifer was not content. Her tone was low but cutting, and she leaned in closer to Brandi. "It's not over yet. By no means. Do you believe that everyone will be persuaded by this brief tale? See how the world responds. People's true sides will be shown to you." With no more patience, Malaysia jerked her head in her direction. "Jennifer, why are you acting this way? Are you even able to hear yourself? All you worry about is winning some perverted popularity game, yet we're talking about a kid, loss, and sadness. It's repulsive." The tension between the two ladies threatened to explode into a full-fledged conflict as their eyes met. Nervously, the producer stood by, prepared to intervene if things became violent. However, Bry's voice cut through before things could become any worse. "I'm done," she said resolutely, her voice more powerful than it had been during the evening. Ming leaned back in an unreadable expression. Malaysia continued to cradle Brandi protectively, and Jennifer sat in brooding silence as she said, "Believe me." "Don't believe me? I don't care anymore. I've told my truth and that's all I can do. I won't keep tearing myself apart just to prove something to people who never wanted to see me clearly in the first place." Her declaration carried a finality that silenced even Jennifer. The sound of Evelyn's footsteps outside continued to reverberate down the hallway before disappearing into oblivion. The fallout was inevitable. Friendships had been tested, alliances had been broken, and scars had been left behind that would not go away overnight. Fans would have countless theories, opinions, and judgments, all of which would add fuel to the fire. But for Brandi, the only thing that mattered now was that she had finally unburdened herself. The room may have calmed down, but the storm brewing outside was just getting started. Fans are already reacting with shock, anger, and heartbreak as videos of the heated confrontation are going viral on social media. As the emotions ran so high that even the most devoted friendships now stand on shaky ground, Evelyn's dramatic departure left the group divided. Malaysia's protective stance for Brandi sparked new debates, and Ming's sly commentary added fuel to the fire. Some viewers are rushing to defend Brandi for protecting her truth, while others are siding with Evelyn, arguing that loyalty deserves transparency. And then there are those who can't get over Jennifer's scathing remarks, wondering if she went too far. Fans are demanding answers, but what are your thoughts? Whose side are you really on? Did Brandi have the right to keep her secret to herself, or should she have trusted her closest friends with the truth sooner? Was Evelyn right to storm out, or was her reaction too extreme for the moment? And let's not forget Jennifer. Was she being brutally honest or just plain cruel? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below and let us know how you envision this drama developing. If you're as shocked as we are, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to ensure you don't miss any of the latest developments in this ongoing story. We assure you that given the current trajectory, this story is far from over. The narrative is far from over. Far from over.